Hi, I'm Dan from the Moz Group, and this is Lauren McKeever from the Moz Group. I'm a 20-year veteran in the business, and Lauren is 10 years going strong. So today, what we're going to be breaking down is all things home inspections from the buyer's perspective, from the seller's perspective, our agent perspective. So we're going to be digging into what that means for everyone and how we navigate through things to ensure that transactions move smoothly from start to close. So if you've had questions about home inspections, hopefully they're answered in this video. But if not, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to answer them for you.
So, a home inspection is when a buyer hires a New Jersey licensed home inspector, and they're going to go through the property, and they're going to just look at all of the systems. Pretty much, you're paying the home inspector to give you a punch list of the property of your house, right? As a buyer, you should always attend your home inspection. I've had it before; most buyers do, but in the instances where they didn't, they received about a 65-page report, which is normal. But when they read it, they get scared and oh my gosh, this house is going to fall down. That's not necessarily the case. When you're at the home inspection, you're going to walk with the inspector. They're going to go through their findings with you. Okay. And they're going to, let you know the age of the mechanicals or the HVAC, the air conditioned heating, talk about what they find with the roof and maybe in the attic and the crawl space. So inspection reports are normally long. You want that. I mean, you want them to be long because honestly, it's a detailed diagnosis of the home that you're buying. So nothing to get scared of. The house isn't going to fall down unless it's really going to fall down. But it's that's a very normal thing. I get that asked that question a lot. That's something I like to prepare my buyers with when we sit down and we do a buyer strategy session to talk about the actual what the home buying process is. So nothing to freak out over, nothing to get upset over. 65-page report is normal for a home that's not brand new, and it's just it's a detailed scope of all of the inspector's findings. And they're just going to give you more of an idea of the condition of the property, age of the systems, and give you suggestions of what might need to be repaired, replaced immediately, what might be a cosmetic defect, what's in good condition, and just kind of help you gauge the overall health and the overall health of the property.
But it is not a pass or fail. It's not like, hey, it passed the home inspection. There's no such thing as that. As far as a certificate of occupancy inspection, that's a pass or fail. So when you're looking at the difference between minor or major items or defects that a home inspector is going to point out, a major is something that needs more attention, could be a higher dollar cost to remediate something. Could be something in regard to one of your main systems, such as your heating and air conditioning. It could be structural. Those are more of the major things, like water intrusion, things of that nature. Minor might be, hey, you have some electrical outlets that should be replaced, or there's a small plumbing leak under the sink, for example. When it comes time for a buyer to review the home inspection and ask the seller to correct any items or provide a credit towards something, look, a buyer can ask for anything they want, technically. Seller can also come back and say no to that. There's very often that we do get that question of, well, the roof is nearing its life expectancy. We want to ask them to put a new roof on or give us a credit. I've had it both ways where they've asked and been told no, and I've had it where they've asked and we've figured out a solution to the challenge there. It is very much situational. Not every time will be the same as the last one.
So, can buyers walk away after the inspection period? So, essentially, when we do your home inspection, we're going to put together your list of repair requests to be submitted normally with the contract within 14 calendar days, right? We're going to there in turn let the seller, reply back to that list. We're going to talk about what the important items are for you as a buyer. What are your deal breakers? What are really important to you, right? And then we're going to let the seller answer those. And if the seller comes back and their answers are not what we were hoping for, we're going to have a further conversation. I will consult with the other agent, let them know why these are important to a buyer. But at the end of the day, we can ask for an escrow release if you don't want to move forward because this is your house. You're the one going to be living here. But it might come down to an attorney. I can never give legal advice. That's one thing I will say several times. So we can ask for the escrow release, but if the sellers want to hold on to it, then we might, be in a little bit of a pickle where we do have to, have legal representation.
I think the hardest part with this is that every contract is different. And that's why we say, like, there's no clear cut answer on this. Could a buyer walk away? The contract allows them to walk away? Yes. Could a buyer walk away if the contract doesn't allow them? Yeah. Does that become a legal battle at that point, an escrow dispute? Yeah, we're going through that right now as we speak, right? So these things happen. And this is why we work with great attorneys that will represent our clients' best interests. And the inspection contingency is not a time to renegotiate things. It's just a time for the buyer to feel comfortable with the property they're buying and learn more about it and get a diagnosis of the things that they might need to be taken care of or ask for that to be taken care of as part of the agreement.
On an as is property, pretty much the seller is just saying, I don't want have any intentions to make any repairs on this home. But as a buyer, yes, per the contract, per paragraph 16, you will have your inspection done regardless. Um, I feel as is very subjective. I feel like every agent thinks has a different meaning of it. And even with contractual terms, sometimes buyers and sellers don't stick to it. Um, I've represented buyers in the past with as is sales that have gotten credits in lieu of repair, believe it or not, up to $20,000. I counseled them. Listen, this is an as is sale. But the answer is always no if you don't ask the question. I just prep them to prepare for the answer of no, but they asked. And the reason why they got these concessions is because these were major issues, disclosure issues. Now, where a seller would have to change the seller's disclosure on structural, the pool was shot, mold, environmental, radon. So it is a very subjective thing, but on an as is sale, yes, you do have the right to have your inspection unless it's completely waived.
When it comes to home inspections and negotiations, our approach can be different in every situation. So, one situation, we might really need to dive into the report with the client and help guide them on some things that they might want to request from the seller. It's always the client's decision on what to ask for with our guidance as to trying to keep it reasonable to an extent. But we always have our client's best interest, whether we're representing the buyer or the seller. It's always about what's best to get them the end goal, which is either getting that house sold or completing the purchase. So every situation is different, though. Sometimes the buyers go through it, and in 5 minutes, they're like, "Hey, we just care about this stuff," because they were very engaged in the inspection. They knew what the inspector was saying, and they're not worried about all the other stuff. They just wanted to focus on the main things.
Thank you for taking your time to watch this video and learn about all things home inspections. Hopefully you had a lot of takeaways here, but if there's anything that you still, any questions we didn't answer or anything you still like to know, feel free to reach out. And I'm Lauren McKeever. This is Dan Malls with the Malls Group.